everyone. Good afternoon. If you aren't as yet seated, I'm going to ask you to please sit so that we can promptly begin your pinning ceremony. Since that everyone is excited, that's good. All right. All right, everyone. So welcome all. Today is a very momentous occasion for everyone, and I just want you all to just put your hands together wherever you are for yourselves. You've done a lot of work, and you've reached a great milestone. All right, put your hands together. So the pinning ceremony is a major event. It not only symbolizes the fact that you made it to year one, semester 2, but it also portends your impending transition to the clinical aspects of your studies. That's a major accomplishment, and you have a lot to be proud of. Before we even begin, I would like to acknowledge the presence of a few individuals, and I also like to thank the multimedia team, your colleagues from year 2, and as well to just acknowledge Dr. Annette Crawford-Sykes and Dr. Francine Gale, and just congratulate the executive of the year 1 for putting on this ceremony. Congratulations to you guys, great job. So now we're going to move right into the program. I'd like to also extend apologies for Professor Minerva Thame, as well as Dr. Shirlene Brown, who unfortunately were unavoidably absent to today's ceremony. But we're going to begin with a few remarks from our program director for the MBBS, and also our Deputy Dean of Teaching and Learning, Dr. Annette Crawford-Sykes. Please make her welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good afternoon, students. You look very different from when I see you down so. Dr. Gale, and there are a few of my colleagues who are parents, academic colleagues, students, good afternoon. It is my distinct pleasure to represent Dean Thame as you mark a significant milestone in your journey as future doctors. In September 2024, where were you? You know, right here, looking very different, yeah. And what is interesting is that at orientation, I went up to that corner and took a picture from behind the class, and we posted it on my WhatsApp status as welcome to FMS classes 27 to 29, depending, because you're all together. And someone who I knew well said, "Oh, there's Jeremy," and it was his back. That was identified. And a mother said to me, "Oh, my son is sitting right there." And I thought, what? They'll get me for data protection. But here you are, completely different now. You were brand new students to UWI at the time. And now where are we? Here we're gathered this afternoon celebrating your elevation and progress from year 1 to year 2. Quite amazing. You're allowed to give yourself a hand indeed. You have moved from the new kids on the block, freshers, to this occasion. You have shown resilience, demonstrating that you have adjusted to university life. This afternoon, we recognize and applaud your impending transition from year 1 to year 2, a step that should not only signify academic progress, but growth in dedication and professionalism. I did say impending transition because you haven't yet done your end of year exams, end of semester exam for semester 2. This pinning ceremony is more than just a tradition. It symbolizes your readiness to take on greater responsibility. It marks the beginning of the transition from foundational learning to more advanced learning on your way to clinical experiences, where you will begin to apply the knowledge that you have had in real-world settings, working closely with patients and other healthcare professionals. That is growth. Growth in a profession comes with greater knowledge, but also with greater responsibility. Once you enter the clinical space, even while students with your uniform and pin, your jacket and pin, especially if you have the stethoscope, you know this, right? Patients will have great expectations of you. They will actually think you have more knowledge than you do, and they may expect a greater level of care than you are capable of at the time of asking. But don't let that frighten you. Be committed all the time to being kind always, to be courteous always, and to be honest always. Growth is active and participatory. It is a commitment to achieve the best and most expansive knowledge that you can acquire in your field. And growth is a total commitment to being the consummate ethical professional as you practice. Note though that growth is incremental. You started last year, yes? You finished semester 1, yes? We're at the end of semester 2. You're at your pinning ceremony. We have to be committed though to acquiring the knowledge from colleagues, from health professionals, from numerous sources, etc. But it is also a daily commitment to practicing the soft skills that will make you the professional that is sought after by colleagues and patients. And I've mentioned soft skills because it is at that point, that cutting edge, that a lot of persons complain about professionals, not just doctors, but professionals. As you step into year 2, remember that success in being a doctor is not just about mastering technical skills and knowledge, but also about developing those essential soft skills that will define your career. How you communicate. Communication will help you to elicit key information from patients. It will help you to take the extra moment to reassure and explain all that is to be done and why it is to be done. It will help you to inform and give bad news gently. Your interpersonal skills will allow you to build trust with patients and colleagues and work seamlessly within a healthcare team. As the leader of the team, as the leader of the health team, the tone is set by you in terms of how that team will function. Critical thinking and problem solving will ensure that you can adapt to unexpected challenges, and attention to detail will make you a reliable and thoughtful physician. Additionally, your ability to manage stress, demonstrate professionalism, and uphold ethical responsibility will set you apart as a truly exceptional physician. These qualities, along with your technical advice, will enable you to provide the highest quality of patient care. To the faculty, the teaching faculty, mentors, family members present today, thank you for your support and guidance. To the students so far, you have been instrumental in helping them to reach this important milestone. We beg of you, crave of you to continue to stay with them as they grow. Students, do well in your exams that are just around the corner. As you step into year 2, hold on to the passion that brought you here. Stay curious, stay compassionate, and continue striving for excellence. Your journey is shaping you into the future doctor that Jamaica and the world needs. And I have no doubt that you will rise to the challenge with confidence and grace. Congratulations to each of you on reaching this milestone. Wear your pins with pride, for they symbolize your dedication, your progression. Keep your eyes on the prize. Well done.
Thank you so much, Dr. Crawford Sykes, for those words of inspiration. And I'm sure the MBBS Year 1 students will hold on to those as they continue their studies. So, are you guys excited? So, without further ado, we are going to move into the presentation of the pins. And to start us off, I'm going to invite Akil Henry from the MBBS class of 2028 to start us off with the presentation of the pins. So make him welcome, please, guys. All right. And in the meantime, I'm going to ask the following students to just stand by. Perissa Miller, Aliyah Byfield, Keela Caruth, Kedisho Smith, Gabriel Davy, and Shante Amos. Okay. I remember when you're going back up, don't pass through the middle. And also when you're coming down. All right, to officially begin, the first person being pinned is Perissa Miller. Second person being pinned is Aliyah Byfield. And now Keela Caruth. Oh, Gabriel. All right. All right. Oh, okay. Oh, yes, good. And now for Kedisho Smith. And now for Gabriel Davy. In the meantime, I'm asking Rebecca Newman Chong to stand by because she's the next person from 2028 is going to be pinning. And now Shante Amos. In the meantime, Joel Prabhahar, Christopher Ferguson, Paige Lewis, Gabriel Robinson, Jade Brown, Leah Blake, Leanne Melbourne, and Ebony Howell, please stand by. All right, so that was it for Akil. And now welcome Rebecca Newman Chong from 2028 for her pinning. All right, so the first person being pinned by Rebecca is Joel Prabhahar. And now for Christopher Ferguson. And now for, ooh. And now for Paige Lewis. Gabriel? Jade Brown. Gabriel Robinson. And now for Liel Blake. And Leanne Melbourne. All right, and now for Ebony Howell, the final person being pinned by Rebecca. Now, in the meantime, I'm going to ask Paris Watt to stand by, as well as Ajante Winter and Rachel Reary. If I pronounce the name incorrectly, I do apologize. You can just correct me when you come up here. So now we invite Paris Watt from the class of 2028 to pin these two individuals. Brianna Douglas. So Brianna Douglas is pinning. All right, but Brianna is not Brianna, it's Paris Watt. So Paris Watt? Brianna, okay. 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 All right, so I do apologize. So Brianna Douglas will be pinning Ajan J. Winter. So Ajan J, you can go ahead now. And now for Rachel, Brianna, you're also pinning Rachel Reary. Hold on. So Rachel, you can go now. Okay. And now for Naomi Harvey from the class of 2028 to pin Alia Gopi. And in the meantime, I'll also ask Alia Harrison Brennan and Trishelle Comock to stand by. In addition to Abigail Coley. And now for, that's it. And now, Alia Harrison Brennan will pin Trishelle Comock. Keep the applause going, please. And now for Abigail Coley. In the meantime, I'd like Shalifa Serju and Abiji Logan to stand by. All right. Can Rebecca Newman-Chung come back to the front, please? She left. Okay. And Abijah Logan will be pinned by Rebecca Newman Chung. In the meantime, I kindly request that Shoy Ann Smith and Abigail Aird stand by. Shoyan will be pinning Abigail Aird, Askia Mohammed, Matthew Aiken, and Khadija Jada Green. I'm loving the gifts that I'm seeing. What? So the first person being pinned by Shoyan is Abigail Aird. Please make her welcome. And now please make welcome Askia Mohammed. In the meantime, I'd like to ask Idris Mohammed, Abriel Barrett, and Michaela Joe Dunkley to be on standby. No, the next person being pinned is Matthew Aiken. And the next person being pinned is Khadija Green. And that concludes that round of pinning. Now I invite Idris Mohammed from 2028 to pin Abriel Barrett and Michaela Joe Dunkley. All right. So Abriel is now being pinned. And Abriel is followed by Michaela Joe Dunkley. I now ask Eric February and Atia Maji from the MBBS class of 2028 to stand by, in addition to Cara Burrell and Aisha Atkinson from the MBBS class of 2029. Thank you so much, Idris. So now Cara Burrell is going to be pinned by Eric February. All right, awesome. I now invite Atia Maji to pin Aisha Atkinson. In the meantime, I'd ask that Rashia Costley and Shane Williams from the MBBS class of 2028 stand by, in addition to Michaela Nanko and Ajani Edwards from MBBS class of 2029. Beautiful. So now we'll have Rashia Costley being pinned by Michaela Nanko. Please make them welcome as they make their way to the front. I now ask that Ajani Edwards, Jeremy Chuck, Geraldine Smith, please be on standby. All right. I now invite Shane Williams from the MBBS class of 2028 for him to do his spinning. So the first person being pinned is none other than Ajani Edwards. Oh. Next up, we have your very own class president, Jeremy Chuck. In the meantime, I ask that Alia Bailey and Shreya Singh from the class of 2028 please be on standby, in addition to Akela Grant and Rihanna Lewis, also Alexander Grant. So Alia Bailey, Shreya Singh, Akela Grant, Rihanna Lewis, and Alexander Grant. Next up, still being pinned by Shane Williams, we have Geraldine Smith. Oh, bad. I do apologize. Geraldine is being pinned by Alia Bailey. I now invite Rihanna Lewis so that she can pin Shreya Singh from the class of 2029. Please make them welcome. So, okay, yeah, they mix this up. Mhm. Yeah, and Shreya Singh. I know Shreya will be pinning Akela Grant as well. I'd like to ask Justine Hope to be on standby. for the pinning of Alexander Grant. Now, please make welcome Sananda Bennett. So in the meantime, I'd like to ask that Keenan Adams and Kervin Rodney, please make their way to the front as well. Now, please make welcome Alexander Cox, who will be pinned by Kervin Rodney. And next up, we have Keenan Adams. Please make him welcome. Followed by Dre Smith. And next we have Alexi Phillips. Kervin. In the meantime, I'd like to ask Raveen Kildare, Brianna Douglas, and Joel Bernard from the class of 2028 to be on standby for the pinning of Andrew Miller, Alexi Miller, Aliana Coburn, Brandon Thompson, and Nerys Joseph from the class of 2029. And now please make welcome Alexi Miller. Next up, we have Aliana Coburn. Okay, I'm really loving the gifts. Mhm. Okay. And moving on, we have Brandon Thompson. And his quote is that consistency transforms average into excellence. He's a future anesthesiologist. Oh, oh. I'm so sorry, guys. Next up, we have Neris Joseph. Yeah, man, yeah, man. So her quote is, you will never always be motivated, so you must learn to be disciplined. And she's a future dermatologist. Ne oh. Next up, we have Nefta Blackwood. So Netfa Blackwood. And her quote is that we must let us set our goals too high. Let us demand more of ourselves than we believe we possess. That's from Haile Selassie the first. And she's a future medical oncologist. And now the next person being pinned is Amira Abayomi. And her quote is that not enough yeast in the world for how much bread and butter make. And she's a future plastic surgeon. And next up, we have Litana Bruno. And her quote is, let your eyes look straight ahead and your eyelids look right before you. Ponder the path of your feet and let all your ways be established. From Proverbs 4, verses 25 to 26. And she's a future pediatrician. Next up, Anaza Seymour. And her quote is, greatness is what we are on the brink of. That's from Onika Maraj. And she's a future fetal surgeon. I now invite Marcus Matango. And he'll be pinned by Tyree Gregory from the class of 2020. His quote is, rep, rep, rep. And he's a future interventional radiologist. I now invite Andrew Dabidine. And his quote is, never back down. Never what? And he's a future trauma surgeon. I now invite Amanda Wright. Sorry, Leah Miller. Yeah, Leah Miller. And her quote is, perseverance goes a very long way. And now let's move on to Anthony Clark. And she'll be pinned by Arnav Mupuri. So please make Anthony welcome. Anthony's quote is, "Delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart." That's from Psalms 37, verse 4. She's a future pediatrician. I now invite Jordan Blackman, also to be pinned by Arnab Mupuri. And Jordan doesn't have a quote because a picture is worth 1,000 words. I now invite Anthony Amiral. And Anthony's quote is, "Until you spread your wings, you'll have no idea how far you can fly." He is also a future interventional radiologist. I now invite Cherise Fonset. And her quote is very interesting. "Whatever is to is cannot are." And she's a future cardiothoracic surgeon. I now invite Sahadeo Ashman from the class of 2028 to stand by. And next up, please make welcome Antoine Brown. And his quote is, "Caffeine can only take you so far." And he's a future cardiologist. In the meantime, Von Ria Johnson and Kyra Keegan from the class of 2028, please stand by for the pinning of Aisha Gordon and Ashley Gilzine. And next up, we have Aisha Gordon. Oh, Asha Gordon. And her quote is, "Success is a journey, not a destination." And she's a future infectious disease specialist. I see that she has a few subtitles here. She's also a shopaholic, a pet lover, and she loves oxtail and stew peas. She also likes swimming and going on adventures. I now invite Ashley Gilzine. And her quote is that, "My richness is life," from Bob Marley. And she's a future orthopedic surgeon. I now invite Nia Lambert. Nia Lambert. In the meantime, can Blessings Oguneme and Danica Stubbs from the class of 2028 please stand by for the pinning of Brandon Ali, Jada Figaro, Caitlin Hackett. And Nia's quote is, "I can't help you find love, but I can make sure your heart doesn't stop while you figure it out." Fitting for a future cardiothoracic surgeon. Next up, we have Brandon Ali. And his quote is that, "Some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some of them have greatness thrust upon them. I'm all of the above." And he's a future urologist. Next up, we have Jada Figaro. And her quote is that there will be obstacles, there will be doubters, there will be mistakes, but with hard work, there will be no limits. And that's from Michael Phelps. And she's a future obstetrician or gynecologist. Now, please make welcome Caitlin Hackett. And Caitlin's quote is that, I will bless you and make you a blessing to others, from Genesis chapter 12, verse 2. And she's a future surgeon. And next up, we have Shante Smith. In the meantime, can Adalia Rollocks from the class of 2028 please stand by, in addition to Zaid Walden, Carlson Ferdinand, Tony and Thomas from 2029. Shantae's quote is, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future, from Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11. She's a future orthopedic specialist. Now keep the applause going as we welcome Zaid Walden. Zaid's quote is Galatians 6, verse 9. Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. And he's a future cardiologist. Next up, we have Carlson Ferdinand. Okay, no problem. So Carlson's quote is, if you are working on something exciting that you really care about, you don't have to be pushed. The vision pulls you. And now I invite Victoria Jack for her to pin Tony and Thomas. Antonian's quote is, rep, rep, rep. And she's also a future interventional radiologist. I now invite Carissa Humphrey from the class of 2028 to pin Genesis Ramjan from the class of 2029. And Genesis' quote is, it doesn't matter how you start. What matters is how you finish. And she's a future anesthesiologist. I'm sure Dr. Crawford Sykes is happy to hear that. I now invite Christina Laidlaw from the class of 2029 to be pinned. Also being pinned by Carissa Humphrey from the class of 2028. I see that both Jordan and Christina know the value of a picture. And now invite Carnisha Roll to be pinned by Sharai Lund. And Carnisha's quote is, she is clothed with strength and dignity. She can laugh at the days to come. That's from Proverbs chapter 31, verse 25. And Carnisha is a future pediatrician. I now invite Peter Gay Johnson from the class of 2029 to be pinned. And Peter Gay's quote is, "Still I rise," from Maya Angelou. And she's a future pediatrician. And now please make welcome Joanna Hills from the class of 2029 to be pinned by Alia Curtin from the class of 2028. And Joanna's quote is, "Success in any line demands a definite aim. He who would achieve true success in life must keep steadily to view the aim worthy of his endeavor." That's from Ellen G. White. And next up, we have Sean Edwards from the class of 2029. And his quote is, "When everything seems to be going against you, remember that the airplane takes off against the wind, not with it." And that's from Henry Ford. And Sean is a future cardiothoracic surgeon. And now, I invite Aliyah Rashan Adderley from the class of 2028 to pin Monique Fenton from the class of 2029. And Monique's quote is, just a God-fearing woman with a passion to save people." And she's a future pediatric cardiologist. All right. I now invite Kiara Rooms from the class of 2029. To be pinned by this lovely lady from the class of 2028. And Kiara's quote is, "Dreams become goals, goals become reality." And she's a future clinical microbiologist. And now I invite Jael Morgan from the class of 2029, Jael Morgan from the class of 2029, to be pinned by Alicia Allen. And her quote is, "Excellence is not a destination. It is a continuous journey that never ends." That's from Brian Tracy. And Jael is a future orthopedic surgeon. And now please make welcome Tawana Benloss from the class of 2029. And Tawana's quote is, "Start where you are with what you have, knowing that what you have is plenty enough." And that is from Booker T. Washington. And Tawana is a future interventional radiologist. I now invite Caresia Thomas from the class of 2029 to be pinned by Antoine Mitchell. And Caricia's quote is, take charge of your life. The tides do not command the ship, the sailor does. And that's from Ogwo Emenike. And she's a future pediatrician. I now invite Dana Graham from the class of 2029 to be pinned by Antoine Mitchell. In the meantime, can Chelsea M. Mikomi and Curtis Kennan from the class of 2028 please stand by, in addition to Rihanna Pingy and Fantasia Thompson from the class of 2029. And Dana's quote is, to become spring means accepting the risk of winter. And that's from Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. And she's a future general surgeon. Next up, we have Deandra Roden, also being pinned by Antoine Mitchell. And her quote is that, my initials have always been DR. Guess God was dropping hints early that I was meant to be a doctor. And next, we have Rashawn Smith, also being pinned by Antoine Mitchell. And Rashawn's quote is, the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of convenience and comfort, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. And that is from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Rashawn is a future consultant oncologist. Now, subsequent to him, we have Rihanna Pingy. And Rihanna's quote is, I'm just 19, too young to lose anything. The stuff I have can't be lost. For example, my dream and admiration. And that comes from 2521, episode 1. And she is currently pursuing MBBS to become an ophthalmologist to help those like she was once helped. And next, we have Fantasia Thompson. In the meantime, I'll ask that Daniel Williams and Devin Chambers from the class of 2028 please be on standby, in addition to Sharissa Smith, Davia Chambers, and Jolan Clark from the class of 2029. Fantasia's quote is, for with God, nothing shall be impossible. And that comes from Isaiah 58, verse 11. And her aim is to become a future obstetrician and gynecologist, or an OBGYN. Next up, we have Kiana Parejo. And her quote is, in Lakesh Alakin. And she's a future pediatric anesthesiologist. Next up, we have Sharissa Smith to be pinned by Daniel Williams from the class of 2028. And Sharissa's quote is, a friendly reminder. Whenever you face various trials, consider it pure joy because you know that this testing of your faith produces perseverance. Allowing this perseverance to finish its work in you facilitates your evolution into a more mature individual. And that quote has been adapted from James chapter 1, verses 2 to 4. And she is a future physician. Her specialty is to be decided. Now, following from Sharissa, we have Davia Chambers to be pinned by Devin Chambers. In the meantime, I ask that Faith Bob Combe and Gareth Black from the class of 2028 stand by, in addition to Syria Branch and Haley Whiteley from the class of 2029. Davia's quote is, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." And that's a quote from Epictetus. And Davia hopes to become a future anesthesiologist. And now, please keep your applause going as we move on to Jolan Clark. And Jolan aims to become a future neurosurgeon. Next, we have Soraya Branch to be pinned by Faith Bobcom from the class of 2028. And Soraya's quote is, "Do not be afraid. I am with you. I am your God. Let nothing terrify you. I will make you strong and help you. I'll protect you and save you." From Isaiah chapter 41, verse 10. And she's a future neurologist. Next, we have Haley Whiteley from the class of 2029 to be pinned by Gareth Black from the class of 2028. And in the meantime, I ask that Ganesh Siddhapita and Gianni Taylor from the class of 2028 stand by for the pinning of Christopher Douglas, Khalifa Williams, and Lucius Harrison from the class of 2029. Next up, we have Jemari Antoine. And Jemari's quote is, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." Joshua chapter 1, verse 9. And following Jemari, we have Christopher Douglas to be pinned by Ganesh Siddhapita from the class of 2028. And Christopher's quote is, "The hardest part of the day is getting out of bed in the morning." And that's from Tom Brady. Christopher aims to become a future cardiologist. Following Christopher, we have Khalifa Williams from the class of 2029. Please make her welcome, to be pinned by Gianni Taylor from the class of 2028. And Khalifa's quote is, "Where the art of medicine is love, there is also a love of humanity." That's from Hippocrates. And following, we have Lucius Harrison from the class of 2029. In the meantime, I ask that Gillian Cooper and Haley Tullow from the class of 2028 stand by for the pinning of Danae Samuels, Jamar Robinson, and Daniel Pajot from the class of 2029. Lucius's quote is, "Sleeping on the job." He's a future anesthesiologist, very fitting. And next, we have Danae Samuels from the class of 2029. And the next quote is, "Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and he will establish your plans." And that's from Proverbs chapter 16, verse 3. She's a future obstetrician gynecologist. Following Danae, we have Jamar Robertson. Please make him welcome. In the meantime, I asked Gianna Denton, Jada Pearson, and Jordan Davidson from the class of 2028 to stand by, in addition to Sante Reed, Gabriel McEwan, and Danelia Gordon from the class of 2029. Jamar Scotty's genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration, and he's a future neurosurgeon. Now, please make welcome Danielle Pajot from the class of 2029 for her pinning. And Daniel's quote is from Habakkuk chapter 2, verses 2 and 3. And the Lord answered me, write the vision, make it plain on tablets, so he may run who reads it. For still the vision awaits its appointed time. It hastens to the end. It will not lie. If it seems slow, wait for it. It will surely come. It will not delay. And she's a future cardiologist. Next up, we have Sante Reed from the class of 2029. Please make her welcome. And Sante's quote is the greatest glory is living lies, not in never falling. Sorry, the greatest glory in living lies not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. And that's from Nelson Mandela. Sante is a future pathologist. Next up, we have Gabriel McEwan from the class of 2029. And she will be pinned by Shane Williams from the class of 2028. Please make them welcome. And next up, we have Danelia Gordon from the class of 2029 to be pinned by Jordan Davidson from the class of 2028. Please make them welcome. In the meantime, Justin Preddy and Carol Woods from the class of 2028, please stand by. In addition to Janai McCray, Rachel Burham, and Daryl Ventura, Danelia hopes to become a future cardiologist. Now, please keep the applause going as we welcome Janoi McCray from the class of 2029. And Janoi aims to become a future anesthesiologist. Next up, we have Rachel Barham from the class of 2029. I now invite Dariela Ventura from the class of 2029 to be pinned by Carol Woods from the class of 2028. And Dariela's quote is, in the middle of every difficulty lies opportunity. And that's from Albert Einstein. Next up, we have Melissa Mills from the class of 2029, also being pinned by Carol Woods from the class of 2028. And Melissa's quote is, your work is going to fill a large part of your life. And the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. And that's from Steve Jobs. I now invite Raveen Kildare from the class of 2028 to pin Andrew Miller from the class of 2029. Please make them welcome. And with that, please give yourselves a round of applause. We made it to the end of round one of pinning. And now to keep the ceremony going, I invite Samantha Steins from the class of 2029 to offer us a musical item. Oh, she's a violinist. Please make her welcome one more time. Oh, wow. Wow. I sincerely apologize to our online audience who wasn't able to hear that amazing performance. Please continue the applause. Guys, the skill it takes to do that is crazy. Oh my God. Amazing job, Samantha. Wow. And now to continue our program, I'll be introducing to you the guest speaker for today's spinning ceremony. Dr. Francine Gale is the Chief Medical Officer of Andrews Memorial Hospital, where she also serves as the Chief of Neurology and the Medical Stroke Director. She is the Managing Director of Everbrook Limited, which is a private healthcare company through which she offers her expertise, not only neurology, but also as a board-certified professional in healthcare quality. She is one of more than 15,000 healthcare quality experts globally to hold this distinguished designation. Dr. Francine Gain is a medical graduate of the University of the West Indies with honors in 2001. And she was also the valedictorian proxy and also was awarded the Allenbury Clinical Prize in Medicine. She completed her doctorate of internal medicine in 2008, and she also served as the chief medical resident for 2 years. She has completed clinical fellowships in adult neurology, electroencephalography at the University of Toronto in 2010. She was appointed lecturer in the Family Medicine, Faculty of Medicine, University of the West Indies from 2012 to 2016. She is a board-certified neurologist, having attained her Federation of the Royal College of Physician Specialist Certificate in Neurology in 2021. Dr. Francine Gale is on record for a number of firsts. The first to introduce digital plasmapheresis technology to Jamaica and the Caribbean with stem cell capabilities. She is the co-architect of the world's first transoceanic telestroke pathway for large vessel occlusion strokes to receive mechanical thrombectomy through rapid air evacuation to the Comprehensive Stroke Center at Johns Hopkins Hospital. This transoceanic mechanical thrombectomy telestroke model is the first of its kind worldwide and stands as a solution for remote and underserved regions. She remains affiliated as an adjunct professor of neurology with the Johns Hopkins School of Medicine since 2022. She was awarded the prestigious Paul Harris Fellowship in 2022 for service over self. Dr. Francine Gale is the only double certified Canadian trained stroke neurologist in the Caribbean. She's a licensed state of the Medical Council of Canada, having completed clinical and research fellowships in stroke with the University of Ottawa and the fellowship program with Canadian Strokes Consortium, with board certification for which she holds the FCSCE designation. As a hospital executive, she is finishing up her 7th fellowship in healthcare administration. She's a devout Christian and is happily married and enjoys her purpose-filled life and her contributions to humanity. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please help me make welcome to Dr. Francine Gale.
Thank you all so very much for having me be a part of your pinning ceremony. I remember when I was at your stage, I think that was just before the turn of the century, 1999. It was a very traumatic year for all of us because we not only had to figure out what we wanted to do 20 to 30 years in the future, but we also had to figure out survival, whether we were going to be alive once the clock turned to the year 2000. Well, clearly we made it. And what I want to talk to you all about is how do you become the physicians of the future? And I'm going to take you on a little bit of a journey. And the only reason this journey is going to make sense is because it is a purpose-driven journey. If your focus is to become famous, or your focus is to make money, stop listening. For those who desire a purpose-filled journey in medicine, these are the tips for you. So number one, you have to learn how to think critically. So the big catchword now in medicine is machine learning. The expectation is that artificial intelligence is going to gobble up thousands of bits of information and come up with themes. And from these themes, they are going to solve all of man's issues. Believe it or not, the same is expected of you. When you advance through medicine, year 2, year 3, year 4, and onwards, the expectation is not that you are going to memorize the number of diseases and memorize the drugs that go with the diseases and memorize the symptoms that the patient will present with. No, the expectation is that you are going to understand themes across many systems, across many drug classifications, and across many different combinations. Because guess what? Each patient is going to be different. And so critical thinking requires crunching information, collaborating, coming up with your best differential, but still keeping it wide enough so that you don't miss a diagnosis. So my first tip to you is learn how to think critically. My second tip to you is no matter where you are, you have to think as if you are in Johns Hopkins School of Medicine. And what do I mean? What do I mean when I say that? Think like you have all the resources available to you, first and foremost. If I were at the Mayo Clinic, what would I do? And if you do that, then what you're learning is best practice. What you're learning is cutting edge. What you're always learning is the forefront of information. And yes, we may have to adapt it a little bit for the circumstances where you are now. But in 10 years or 5 years, when you land in the Mayo Clinic, guess what? Guess what? When you land in the Mayo Clinic,
It's going to be rough.
no, it's gonna be easy.
True.
Because, Jeremy, because you would have trained yourself to think this way. Yeah, hello everybody. Y'all know what I look like. I'm here for the students, right? If you practice to think cutting edge at all times, you train yourself so that wherever you end up in the world, you are adaptable. So when I landed in Switzerland in January of this year and Germany in October of last year, the switch was easy because that is how I think. And that is how I want you guys to always think. Point number 3. Sometimes you have to step down, step back, or even give up something in order to step forwards. So I've always wanted to be a physician from I was 5. Hands up, who else wanted to be? Somebody said their initial was DR. Who is that? Yeah. So a couple of us always knew we wanted to be physicians. And I was one of those persons who knew what I wanted to do every single year of my life. Type A personalities, anybody else? Come on, be honest. 90% of you. Now, in 2015, I actually left my job here at the University Hospital and the University of the West Indies. When I was in medical school, that was my dream job. And I had to leave it behind. And I thought, oh my Lord, whatever is going to happen to me, I am giving up my dream. Well, imagine, because you prepare, you practice to think critically, and you always think cutting edge. It was the journey of a very twisted pathway that led me all over the world. And these are the additional tips that I learned. So number one, when I left Jamaica, I actually left practicing as a neurologist, and guess what I practiced at for 3 years? Jeremy?
I think Ronaldinho would like to answer that question.
So I practiced as an internist. So having finished my DM in internal medicine, finished my training in neurology, when I left Jamaica, I practiced as an internist. Sometimes you have to step back, you have to step down, you have to give something up in order to push yourself forward. Okay, remember that. So when I went to this foreign country that will remain unnamed, and I practiced as an internist, guess where I was assigned? I was assigned to the stroke unit of a tiny community hospital. And when I finished there after 3 years, guess which university system partnered with that tiny little community hospital? Johns Hopkins University. So if I had not taken that opportunity, stepping down, stepping back, 3 years into the future, I would not have connected with an organization that completely changed my life. Take unusual opportunities. Take unusual risks. Get out of your comfort zone. All of my colleagues at the University of the West Indies thought that Dr. Gale had lost her mind. On this journey, the other point that I want you to remember is that you no longer have to choose. Hands up who made the choice between engineering and medicine. Hands up. Yeah, hands up who made the choice between starting a business and coming into medicine. Yeah. Hands up who made the choice between doing genetics and coming into medicine. Yeah, I want you to unfreeze your thinking. You no longer have to choose. Hands up all of the game heads in here, the video game people. Come on, own it. Hands up. Brown, your name is Brown, right? Put your hand up. You're a gamer. Put it up. It's still bent at 90 degrees. Thank you. Okay. You no longer have to choose. Medicine of the future, gamification, is now the go-to for rehabilitation. Okay? Combine what you love with medicine. Biomedical engineering is the future of medicine. robotics, artificial intelligence, Neuralinks, hello, you no longer have to choose. I'm a neurologist, but guess what? I'm producing my own line of medications because I'm dissatisfied with some of the things that are out there. You no longer have to choose. Combine your strengths. Private practice is a business. Running a hospital is a business. If you want to do an elective in finance, go and do it, because a lot of our hospitals are not run. They're not run like a business when they should be, okay? And my final point, so you don't have to choose. You can truly have it all right? And my last point, my second to last point, solutions. Criticism is free. Solutions puts you at the table. So because I worked as the internist for 3 years in this community hospital, when Johns Hopkins came to partner with the hospital and needed a physician leader to run their stroke program, guess who had all the information about what needed to be changed? The little internist who had to run to the lab to ask for the blood, the little internist who had to write the prescription, you know, the little internist who had to talk with the physiotherapist about treating this patient. And in one day, I moved from being the internist to the lead of one of the worldwide machineries, Johns Hopkins Health International, to build out a stroke program in that little community hospital. So nothing is lost. Always be solution-oriented. My last point. So imagine, after doing all of that, and you heard all the things that he said, I went back to school at the ripe young age of 3. The reason I was comfortable in doing that was that 10 years before, when I went to do my first fellowship in Canada, I was in my 30s and I was the youngest person in the group, because Jamaicans tend to have this timeline that you have to do everything before a particular age. Mash down that lie. I repeat, Jamaicans tend to have this concept that you have to do everything education-wise before a particular age. No, 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 no. So when I was in my 30s and I was doing my first fellowship, which is the highest level of education in medicine, I had medical students who were in their 40s, Canadian medical students. They had gone and done their first degree in art. So my mind was blown. I was there saying, so, okay, so of course, I'm the fellow on the service. Then you have the residents, then you have the medical students. So I'm teaching the medical students and I'm asking them, so what did you do? We had people who did their first degree in art. And I'm saying that would never fly in the Caribbean. How do you do a degree in art and then end up in medicine in your 40s? They explored life. They did the first degrees in all sorts of things and then came back to medicine. It is a lie that you have to do everything all at once. Lifelong learning. Thank you all for your time.
Please put your hands together for Dr. Gale once more. And Dr. Gale, for those lovely words that reminded us to prepare, think critically, focus on the cutting edge, right? To be solution oriented. And to remind us that there are so many options outside of medicine right now. We don't have to choose. We can combine what we love with medicine, right? We just like to present to you on behalf of the class of 2029 a token of appreciation for your presentation today. Thank you so much. And thank you so much to Askia Mohammed for that presentation.
I can't imagine. I knew Askia from before she was born, when her mother, a nurse, that's the other thing, be prepared to learn from nurses. Her mother was the nurse at Spanish Town Hospital when I was an intern and knew nothing. So learn from nurses. That's tip number, whatever it was that we've reached.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gale. I now invite Kathy and Graham, Kaylee Reese, and Kayla Hertzman from the MBBS class of 2028 to be on standby for the presentation of pins to Max Lieber, Tony and Coleman, Olivia Green, Janella McDonald, and Lorraine Casanova from the class of 2029. We're about to enter the second round of pinning. And now, I ask you guys to give a round of applause and welcome Max Lieber from the class of 2029. And Max's quote is, "Success consists of going from failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm." And that's from Winston Churchill, former UK Prime Minister. And Max intends to become a future neurosurgeon. I now invite Tony and Coleman from the class of 2029 to be pinned by Kathy and Graham. Antonian is a future general surgeon. Next up, we have Olivia Green from the class of 2029. And she's getting pinned by Kaylee Reese from the class of 2028. I now ask Leah Taylor, Lafika Kandaval, and Liam Mead from the class of 2028 to be on standby. I now invite Janella McDonald from the class of 2029 to be pinned. And she's being pinned by Kayla Hertzman. Gabriel Dwyer, Mordecai Scott, Jada Smith, Rachel Foote, and Carissa Smith, please be on standby. Janella's quote is, "And we know that all things work together for good to those that love God, to them who are called according to his purpose," from Romans chapter 8, verse 28. And she's a future general surgeon. And now I invite Lorraine Casanova from the class of 2029 to be pinned. Please make him welcome. And Oraine's quote is, "It is the Lord who goes before you. He will be with you. He will not leave you or forsake you. Do not fear or be dismayed." Oncologist or researcher. Now, please join me in making welcome to Gabriel Dwyer, who will be pinned by Leah Taylor. And Gabriel's quote is, "Winner, winner, chicken dinner." She's a future neurologist. And now, Leah will also be pinning Mordecai Scott from the class of 2029. I'd like to invite Michaela Grenell and Renika Wint from the class of 2028 to be on standby for the pinning of John Francis III, Sarah Anderson, Krista J. South, Zawadi Clark from the class of 2029. Okay. And now please keep the applause going as we welcome Jada Smith from the class of 2029. And Jada's quote is, "Believe you can, and you're halfway there." That's from Theodore Roosevelt, former US president, and Jada wants to become a future cardiovascular surgeon. And now Lathika Kandival from the class of 2028 will be pinning Rachel Foot from the class of 2029. Please make them welcome. And Rachel aims to become a radiologist in the future. And now, please join me in making Sarah Anderson feel welcome as she approaches the stage. And Sarah's quote is, "Just keep swimming, just keep swimming." She's a future cardiothoracic surgeon. And now I invite Liam Mead from the class of 2028 to pin Carissa Smith from the class of 2029. And Carissa's quote is, "Every day that you wake up, you are given another chance to chase your dreams." And Carissa aims to become an endocrinologist in the future. Next, Liam will be pinning Micah Williams from the class of 2029. Micah's quote is, "Sometimes the most important thing you can say is nothing at all, just listen." And she aims to become a future anesthesiologist. Now, please join me in making John Francis III feel welcome as they are pinned by Michaela Grinnell from the class of 2028. And John Francis does have a very regal name, but he says, "No, I am not royalty." And he is to become a future anesthesiologist. A very popular profession. And now I invite Krista J. South from the class of 2029 to be pinned by Renika Wint. In the meantime, can Sylvia Tutus and Gabriel Simonet from the class of 2028 please remain on standby for the pinning of Isaiah James, Simar Pratt, and Malcolm Jamal Newland. Krista J's quote is, "Strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall rejoice in time to come." That's from Proverbs chapter 31, verse 25, coming from our future neurosurgeon. I now invite Zawadi Clark from the class of 2029, also to be pinned by Renika Wint from the class of 2028. And Zawadi's quote is, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me." That's from Philippians chapter 4, verse 13. She's a future trauma surgeon. And now, can Isaiah James from the class of 2029 please make his way to the front? And he's being pinned by Sylvia Tutus from the class of 2028. Now, please keep the applause going for Simar Pratt from the class of 2029, who is being pinned by Gabriel Simonet from the class of 2028. Simar's quote is, "The quality of your life is the quality of your relationships." That's from Esther Perel. And Simar aims to become a future genetic engineer or a general practitioner. Isaiah's quote was, "Let me dedicate my life today to the care of those who come my way. For my earliest memories in service beside my mother, helping those in the aftermath of disasters. I knew medicine was not just a choice, but a calling." And Isaiah aims to become a future hematologist/oncologist. And now I invite Malcolm Jamal Newland from the class of 2029. And Malcolm Jamal's quote is from Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11. "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future." And he intends to become a future cardiologist. And now, please join me in making welcome Mahalia Williams from the class of 2029 to be pinned by Tiandra Morgan from the class of 2028. In the meantime, Victoria Jean-Jacques and Zantony Walters from the class of 2028, please be on standby. In addition to Dashaya Bean, Sashana Morgan, and Kayla Bryan from the class of 2029. Mahalia's quote is, "Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts," from Winston Churchill. And she aims to become a pediatric surgeon in the future. And now for our lovely violinist, Samantha Steins. Please make her welcome, as she is pinned also by Tiandra Morgan from the class of 2028. And Samantha's quote is, "I will outlast the stress." And she's a future radiologist. And now please help me make welcome Dashaya Bin, BSc, MSc, from the class of 2029, for her to be pinned by Victoria Jean-Jacques. Congratulations. And the quote from our future OBGYN is, "Delayed but not denied." And now following from Dashaya, we have Sashana Morgan, also being pinned by Victoria Jean-Jacques from the class of 2028. Come on, guys, more applause than that, please. And her quote is, "Fall down 7 times, get up 8," from a future forensic pathologist. I now invite you guys to make welcome Kayla Bryan from the class of 2029, the current sponsorship manager of the FMSDL committee, where she's done an amazing job. Guys, give her another round of applause, please. Her quote is, "She is clothed with strength and dignity. She can laugh at the days to come," from Proverbs chapter 31, verse 25. And she's also a future anesthesiologist. Now, please make welcome Shyle Valentine from the class of 2029, who will be pinned by Havre Harper from the class of 2028. In the meantime, Ranil Smith and Anya Gray from the class of 2028, please prepare and make yourself ready. In addition to Christian Wisdom and Christopher Ferguson from the class of 2029. Shyl's quote is, The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. From Eleanor Roosevelt, former First Lady of the United States of America. And Shell is a future neurosurgeon. Now, please make welcome Chrisanne Wisdom from the MBBS class of 2029. And she'll be pinned by Ranil Smith from the class of 2028. Her quote is, "What's meant to be will be." And she's a future neurologist. I now invite Amelia Pickersgill from the class of 2028 to pin Renika Reed from the class of 2029. Please make them both feel welcome. Maria Hurd, Jamia Hanfield, and Nicolay Grant from the class of 2028. Please be on standby for the pinning of Dimitri Windross, Tavia Keith, Ryan Williams, Dania Diaz, and Daniel Day. Renika's quote is, "We have nothing to lose, nothing to gain, nothing we desired anymore, except to make our lives into a work of art." From Lana Del Rey, famous US artist. She intends to become a future pediatric cardiothoracic surgeon. I now invite Dimitri Windross from the class of 2029. Please make him feel welcome. And he will be pinned by Marie Hurd from the class of 2028. I now invite Tavia Keith from the class of 2029 to be pinned. Tavia's quote is, "Keep going, especially when there's pain. That's how you know that growth is certain." She aims to become a future neurosurgeon. And now I invite Jamia Hanfield from the class of 2028 to pin Ryan Williams from the class of 2029. And Ryan's quote is, "Art inveniam viam art faciam." And she aims to become a future infectious disease specialist. And now please help me make welcome Dania Diaz from the class of 2029 to be pinned by Nicolaya Grant from the class of 2028. I now invite Shania McDowell from the class of 2028 to pin Daniel Day from the class of 2029. Please make him feel welcome. I also ask that Gabriella Chichester and Rachel Rampier from the class of 2028 please be on standby for the pinning of Daniel Tolo, Micah Dean, Daniel Holdam, and Kaylee Clark from the class of 2029. Okay, give me a second. So Daniel's quote is, "Remain positive in your values and you will change the world." And he aims to become a future neurosurgeon. I now invite Daniel Tolo from the class of 2029. Please make him feel welcome. And he'll be pinned by Gabriella Chichester from the class of 2028. Daniel's quote is, "Lives of great men often remind us we can make our lives sublime and departing, leave behind us footprints on the sand of time." He intends to become a future cardiologist. As now, Please make welcome Micah Dean from the class of 2029. And Micah, who intends to become a pediatric cardiologist in the future, quote is, I carry not just the weight of my own dreams, but the courage and resilience of my sister Abby, who has been my greatest inspiration. I dedicate this pin to her today as I dedicate myself to the care of children just like her. And now, please make welcome Danielle Holdam from the class of 2029. And she's been pinned by Rachel Rampier from the class of 2028. Danielle's quote is, all great changes are preceded by chaos. Wise words from a future cardiologist. Now, please make welcome Kaylee Clark, also being pinned by Rachel Rampier. And her quote is, God is within her, she will not fail. From Psalms chapter 46, verse 5. And she intends to become an oncologist in the future. And now, please make welcome Zia Romani from the class of 2029. And she'll be pinned by Adrian Grant from the class of 2028. In the meantime, Tony and Grant, Shannon Hill, and Nikolai Brown from 2K28, please be on standby for the pinning of Wayne Kelly, Terry Strand, Jalima Villafana, and Tarira Williams from the class of 2029. Zia's quote is, strength doesn't come from what you can do. It comes from overcoming the things you thought you couldn't. That quote is from Ricky Rogers. And Zia intends to become an interventional radiologist in the future. Now we have Tuanimi Pepple from the class of 2029. And Tuanami intends to become an OBGYN, obstetrician gynecologist. And now please make welcome Wayne Kelly from the class of 2029. And he'll be getting pinned by Tony and Grant from the class of 2028. And please keep the applause going as we make welcome Terry Strand from the class of 2029. And Terry will be pinned by Shannon Hill from the class of 2028. Terry's quote is from Philippians chapter 1, verse 6. God didn't bring you this far to leave you. And she intends to become a cardiothoracic surgeon in the future. And now we invite Jalima Villafana from the class of 2029 for her to be pinned by Nikolai Brown. And her quote is, this journey is hard, but someone out there needs the doctor you're becoming. Every sleepless night is preparing you to make someone else feel better. And she wants to become a pediatric surgeon in the future. And now please make welcome Tawira Williams from the class of 2029, also to be pinned by Nikolai Brown from the class of 2028. And Tariwa's quote is, the Lord will establish peace for us. All that we have accomplished, he has done for us. From Isaiah chapter 26, verse 12. She's a future general practitioner. I now invite Tawana Richards from the class of 2029. And she's getting pinned by Kelsey Ramlakan from the class of 2028. Tawana's quote is, made it through year one without becoming the patient. That's a win. And she intends to become a future cardiothoracic surgeon. Please make welcome Jada Marie Barnett from the class of 2029. And Jada Marie's quote is, you're gonna need a lot more than apples to keep me away. And now, please make welcome Deandra White from the class of 2029. And her quote is that faith plus obedience equals success. And she's a future trauma surgeon. Now, please keep the applause going for Tarna Lee Kerr, to be pinned by Nicardo Curry from the class of 2028. In the meantime, can Adil Persad and Asana Thompson from the class of 2028 please be on standby for the pinning of Tabitha Nepal, Sayoban Maxwell, and Kalia Miller from the class of 2029. Tarna Lee's quote is, for with God, nothing shall be impossible. And we take that from Luke chapter 1, verse 37. She intends to become a future emergency physician. I now invite Crystal Mitchell from the class of 2029. And her quote is, for I'm convinced that neither death nor life, neither angels nor demons, neither the present nor the future, nor any powers, neither height nor depth, nor anything else in all creation will be able to separate us from the love of God that is in Christ Jesus our Lord. I now invite Tabitha Nepal from the class of 2029. And Tabitha's quote is, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And she aims to become a future neurosurgeon. Now, please join me making welcome Siobhan Maxwell from the class of 2029 to be pinned by Asana Thompson from the class of 2028. And now, I invite Kalia Miller from the class of 2029 to be pinned also by Asana Thompson from the class of 2028. And Kalia's quote is, I'm too unserious to be working with the living, coming from a future forensic pathologist. I now invite Natalia Wilby from the class of 2028 to pin Sierra Smith from the class of 2029. Can Tremaine Bailey, Soleil Martin, Kim Miller from the class of 2028, please be on standby for the pinning of Sidani Henry, Samantha Bedford, and Safia Holness from 2K29. Sierra Smith's quote is, "So the badness go." And she's a future pediatrician. I now invite Sidani Henry from the class of 2029 to be pinned by Tremaine Bailey from the class of 2028. And we move on to Soleil Martin from the class of 2028, pinning Samantha Bedford from the class of 2029. And Samantha's quote is, "The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others." And that's a quote from Mahatma Gandhi. I now invite Safia Holness from the class of 2029 for her pinning by Kimoy Miller from the class of 2028. In the meantime, can Tamoy Stewart and Nia Mackenzie from the class of 2028 please be on standby for the pinning of Ruth Ann Harris, Marika Baptiste, and Kwesi James from the class of 2029. Safia's quote is, "Just like the moon, just like moons and like suns, with the certainty of tides, just like hope springing high, still I'll rise," from Maya Angelou. And in the future, she aims to become a trying youth. Sense of humor. I now invite Ruth Ann Harris to be pinned by Tamoy Stewart from the class of 2028. Come on, guys, a louder round of applause than that, please. Thank you so much. And Ruth Ann aims to become an anesthesiologist in the future. I now invite Marika Baptiste from the class of 2029 to be pinned by Nia Mackenzie from the class of 2028. And now I invite Kwesi James from the class of 2029. And I also invite Ria Green and Titania McCall from the class of 2028 to be on standby for the pinning of Malaya Spence, Michaela Williams, and Nathan Pierre from the class of 2029. Kwesi's quote is, "You never know how strong you are until being strong is your only choice." And he's a future anesthesiologist and a photographer, videographer who can do some graphic design as well. No, for Malia Spence from the class of 2029. Please make her feel welcome. I now invite Michaela Williams from the class of 2029 and the current FMS Guild Secretary to be pinned. And she'll be pinned by Titania McCall from the class of 2028. Michaela's quote is, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me," from Philippians chapter 4, chapter 4, yes, verse 13. And she's a future otorhinolaryngologist. And now please make welcome Nathan Pierre from the class of 2029. Guys, please applaud, please applaud, please applaud. And Nathan's quote is, "Who we become is the result of our disciplined actions," and he's a future pathologist. I now invite Shanil McLean from the class of 2028 to pin Maxan Brown from the class of 2029. In the meantime, Ashika Brown, Yusan Shirley, and Destiny Charles from the class of 2028, please be on standby for the pinning of Laquame Stewart, Liana Palmer, Jodia Morris, and Janika Javante Brown. I now invite Laquame Stewart from the class of 2029 to be pinned by Ashika Brown from the class of 2028. Please applaud them so they feel welcome. And Laquame says, here today, here for 4 more years, from a future stress-free doctor. I don't know about stress-free. And now please make Liane Palmer feel welcome as she's pinned by Yusan Shirley. Liana Palmer, sorry. And Liana aims to become a sports medicine physician. And next up, we have Jodea Morris, also being pinned by Yusan Shirley. And Jodea's quote is from Philippians chapter 4, verse 13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And she's a future cardiothoracic surgeon. I now invite Janika Javante Brown to be pinned by Destiny Charles from the class of 2028. Deandra Thorpe and Ray Clark from 2K28, please be on standby for the pinning of Jada Gray and Janelle Grant. Janika's quote is, we must accept finite disappointment, but never lose infinite hope. And that's from Martin Luther King Jr. And Janika aims to become a future anesthesiologist. Now, please keep the applause going and make welcome Jada Gray, Jada Marissa Gray from the class of 2029. And she'll be getting pinned by Deandra Thorpe from the class of 2028. And Jada aims to become an obstetrician, gynecologist, and reproductive endocrinologist in the future. I now invite Ray Clark from the class of 2028 to pin Janelle Grant from the class of 2029. Please make her feel welcome. In the meantime, can Britannia Cowans and Samaya Blake from the class of 2K2A please be on standby for the pinning of Gabrielle Hayden, Esther Hines, and Melissa Randall from the class of 2K29. Janelle's quote is, the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams, from Eleanor Roosevelt. And Janelle aims to become a future neurosurgeon. I would now like to invite Gabrielle Hayden from the class of 2K29 for her to be pinned by Britannia Cowans from the class of 2K28. And Gabriel's quote is from Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. And she aims to become a pediatrician in the future. Now, please join me in making welcome Esther Hines from the class of 2029, who will be getting pinned by Samaya Blake from the class of 2028. Esther's quote is, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, we go together. And she aims to become a future neurosurgeon. I now invite Melissa Randall from the class of 2029. Pinned by Samaya Blake. And Melissa's quote is, "Pretty good is not enough. I want to be great." From Christina Yang from the famous television series, Grey's Anatomy. And Melissa's greatness will come from her becoming a cardiothoracic surgeon in the future. I now invite David Matthews to be pinned by Miguel Hamilton from the class of 2028. In the meantime, can Nia Mackenzie, James Smith, and Tony and Coleman please be on standby? That's from the class of 2K28. In addition to Dominique Henry, Dominic Ramnarine, and Davian Irving. Dominic Ramnarine. And David's quote is, "Faithful is he that calleth you, who also will do it." 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 24, KGV. And he aims to become a future cardiothoracic surgeon. And now I invite Dominique Henry from the class of 2029 to be pinned by Nia Mackenzie from the class of 2028. And Dominique's quote is, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, submit to him, and he will make your paths straight." And that is coming from a future cardiothoracic surgeon. I now invite Dominic Ramnarine from the class of 2029 to be pinned by James Smith from the class of 2028. Happy birthday to you. And Dominic's quote is, "Perfection is not attainable, but if we chase perfection, we can catch excellence." That's from Vince Lombardi. Happy birthday once more to our future cardiothoracic surgeon. I now invite Davian Irwin and from the class of 2029 to be pinned by Tony and Coleman from the class of 2028. Now, a fun fact is that these two are cousins and they're aiming to become the first doctors ever in their family. So please congratulate them. And Davian says that he equates to a bundle of confusion wrapped in determination, fueled by curiosity, and destined to leave an unforgettable mark, coming from our future cardiothoracic surgeon. I now invite Lauren Bruce from the class of 2029 to be pinned by Nia Bascombe from the class of 2028. In the meantime, I invite Tony Anna Grant, Carla Roberts, and Gail Lunan to be on standby. That's from the class of 2028 for the pinning of Crystal James, Kimaya Madden, Shanae Lowe, and Deandra Graham. Now, please keep the applause going for Crystal James from the class of 2029. And she'll be getting pinned by Tony and Grant from the class of 2028. And Crystal's quote is, "A negative mind will never give a positive life." And she aims to become a pediatrician in the future. Now, please join me in welcoming Kimaya Madden from the class of 2029. And she'll be getting pinned by Carla Roberts from the class of 2028. And her quote is, "Success begins with the decision to try." And she is aiming to become a future cardiothoracic surgeon. And now I invite Shanae Lowe from the class of 2029 to be pinned also by Carla Roberts from 2K28. And Shanae's quote is also from Philippians chapter 4, verse 13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I now invite Deandra Graham from the class of 2029. And she'll be getting played by Gail Lunan from the class of 2K28. I also invite Jody K. Davis, Alexander Taylor, and Brianna Wright from the class of 2028 to be on standby to pin Anicia Green, Daniel Guthrie, and Jonathan Saunders. Deandra's quote is also from Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11, and it states, For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. And her future is becoming a neurosurgeon. I now invite Anisha Green from the class of 2029. And she's getting pinned by Jody K. Davis from the class of 2028. Her quote is, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step, from Lao Tzu. She aims to become a future dermatologist. Oh, and sidebar, she's also a proud dog mom and passionate artist because life is better with a pencil in my hand and paw prints on my heart. I now invite Daniel Guthrie from the class of 2029 to be pinned by Alexander Taylor from the class of 2028. And Daniel's quote is, a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, and poverty will come on you like a thief and scarcity like an armed man. From Proverbs chapter 6, verses 10 and 11, he aims to become a future orthopedic surgeon. And now, last but not least, for our final member of 2K29 to be pinned. we welcome Jonathan Saunders from 2K29 to be pinned by Brianna Wright from the class of 2028. And Jonathan's quote comes from Romans chapter 8, verses 38 and 39. For I am sure that neither death nor life, nor angels nor rulers, nor things present nor things to come, nor powers, nor height, nor depth, nor anything else in all creation will be able to separate us from the love of God in Christ Jesus our Lord. And he intends to become an interventional radiologist in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes round 2 of pinning. Please give yourselves a huge round of applause. And now, please make way for Lee L. Blake from the class of 2029, where he offers a musical item. thank you so much, Leah, for a rendition of what I believe was What a Wonderful World by Louis Armstrong. Guys, please put your hands together for him one more time. And now we are going to have the playing of a special video item, which is going to show the journey that you guys have undertaken since starting year one. All right, so in the meantime, I like to invite Joanna Hills, the class of 2029 Vice President of Internal Affairs, to offer the vote of thanks. Please make Joanna welcome. Please make her feel welcome once again.
I'm sorry, I wouldn't be a woman if I wasn't late, so I'm so sorry for that. So good afternoon, everyone. We are really happy that you all stayed, all those who would have stayed with us. I was actually wondering if this was a seminary because there were so many Bible texts quoted, and I'm really happy that we all see the importance of having God deeply involved in this journey that we are in. So with that said, I heard something some years ago, and I'll say it again. Before we thank any man, we must thank God. So I'd like to thank God for bringing us all here safely and also for giving us the strength that we need thus far throughout this journey. It is only by His grace that we have reached this stage on our medical journeys. And may we continue to trust Him as we move forward. So I know I don't think they're here anymore, but I'd like to thank the Dean as well as the Deputy Dean. They would have played an instrumental role in giving us advice pertaining to the ceremony as we were in planning. Moving along very quickly, I really hope I don't butcher any names. I will take time even now to thank our med siblings. So we have some different med siblings. We have some absent fathers. We have some med siblings who we may not know and we know, but for the med siblings that are present, healthy parents to us, we would like to just extend a thanks and a welcome to you. We're really happy that you took the time to stay here, and there's refreshment, so stick around. And the more people leave, maybe the more you would get. So yes, our family members is a lot to take on this venture, and we are almost at the end of year one. So I'd like to even congratulate the class of 20 and 29 for getting through your first year of med school. I know that we have a lot ahead of us. Some great exams, not evils. We have some exams ahead of us, but by God's grace, we would get through. So I'd like to thank you guys. Without you all, the class of 2029 would not be possible. So let me make sure I don't forget anyone. We have some sponsors. We want to thank them for contributing significantly financially to the event. We truly, I'm going to say truly one more time, truly appreciate you for taking the time to have given us money. I don't know how else to say it, and whatever other contribution. Our host, he did an excellent job. We would like to thank you, Ronaldinho Bennett. I hope I did good with your name. You did an excellent job in carrying us throughout this entire service. This is the awkward moment where I'm wondering if I'm forgetting anybody. Let's hope not. So there were some teams that were formed, and we would like to thank those groups as well. Do I know the specific names of the groups? No. But for the subcommittees that we'd have formed, well, Jeremy predominantly would have formed to ensure that this program was a success. I would like to say thank you. And everybody who assisted, while some of you all were studying, people were here decorating. While all you were studying platelets and B12 deficiency, them was here, So we'd like to thank them for contributing their time, efforts, and energy toward this event. Who else, guys? Who else? So this is a surprise. These people are not aware, but I'd like to call a few names, and they would have played a significant role. These are like Jeremy's right-hand men. My mom used to say a quote, know your people and half your work done. So these 4 persons would have contributed significantly to ensuring that the event went smoothly, whether it's in the form of decorations, getting food stuff together, and so on. So I'll call your names quickly. And this is a small token of appreciation from the Vice President, myself, as well as the Internal Affairs Committee. So again, I hope I don't butcher anyone's name. Rachel Foot. Yes, Rachel, you. Rachel did an excellent job. The stuff you're seeing here, you know, she's mainly one of the individuals to play in ensuring that this was a success. So another individual, Sanada huh? Oh my God, Sananda Bennett. I'm so sorry. Sananda Bennett. She would have also had an instrumental role in ensuring that the event was a success. Moving right along, Kalia Miller. Kalia Miller. Oh, okay, great. Kalia Miller. I hope I did your name correctly. And last but not least, we have Sarah Anderson. That was pretty easy. Yeah? Sarah Anderson. Right? So Sarah, we'd like to thank you guys for your contributions and all that was done. So we have a couple more persons, so I'll move along quickly. He is right next to me. Keenan Adams, we'd like you to come up quickly. And we'd like to thank you for, you know, playing a predominant role in ensuring that we had our pictures up there and so forth. So Keenan, thank you so, so much for your contribution towards the ceremony. And oh my God, only like the boy name, Jeremy this, Jeremy that, Jeremy this, Jeremy that, Jeremy, oh, only need to pay him. So we'd like to thank our president of the class who did a significant. I know this wasn't easy. I mean, it's a lot, but yes, go. We'd like to thank him. And we cannot really repay the time he would have spent while a lot of us was studying, while a lot of us would have been doing other things to ensure that this event was a success. So I'm sorry, I'm human. If I forgot anybody else, I'd like to thank you. And most of all, class of 2029, you belong here, no matter what you're going through, no matter what you're facing. That pin has a purpose. So guys, enjoy the rest of your afternoon and God's blessings.
Thank you so much, Joanna. Vice President for Internal Affairs for the MBBS class of 2029. Guys, it's been an amazing ceremony, and I'd also want to thank our sponsors, Dan Hope Radiology Services, Care, Compassion, and Advanced Imaging, Suzuki, and also Shields and Sheets, Flowers and Plants. Now, with the special video loads, I'm going to ask a few of you in the audience to tell me about what this pinning ceremony has meant for you. Starting with Rachel.
It's probably to me, it's just something special, like our first interaction with everybody and being recognized, you know? Nice way to start off.
Definitely a nice way to end the year. And now moving on to the next Rachel.
I believe it's validation for hard work, so sense of accomplishment.
Definitely. So now we are ready for the special video commemorating your journey throughout year 1 to start playing. Wow. Just give a moment for it to start playing. All right, and now as we conclude the ceremony, I'd like to invite the class president, your class president, Jeremy Chuck, to offer his closing remarks. Please make him feel welcome.
All right, good afternoon, everyone, or good afternoon to everybody who is left. As said before, my name is Jeremy Chuck, and I've been tasked with giving you all the closing remarks. Well, thank God for that. We finally finished. Now, I firstly want to thank again everybody for making the effort and cooperating with me and the team to make this pinning ceremony possible. A huge thanks again to the host, Ronaldino Bennett, who did an amazing job. Can we get a round of applause for that, please? He did an amazing job. As well as to everybody else who Joanna mentioned. Additionally, my vice presidents, of course, Joanna, Malia, Askia, Sean, Matthew, who did some heavy lifting this morning. Thank you to everybody who came out and supported this ceremony, as well as Gabrielle and Rachel, who were up here on short notice, making sure the ceremony flowed better, smoother, rather. And I would like to close by saying this ceremony was far from perfect, but I still stand here today saying I am proud of what took place today. Everything you see here, from the beautiful decorations, the live stream, the pins, the invites, the graphics, were all done by us, the students, right? Everybody in here, well, everybody a part of the team contributed to doing all of these nice things. We never take up ourselves and, ask anybody else to, apart from our family members and stuff, to help us. Which I'm really proud of to say that the students played a massive role in the completion of this ceremony. And I'd like to ask the question, who said the future wasn't bright? Because in here it's looking quite bright. Now, I just wanted to end with a few words of encouragement to the class, as I've seen it with my very own eyes. When we come together, we work together in union, we can achieve so much more. And I look forward to the day we can all make an impact in not only the medical field, as you can see, but as well as the decorative services and any other business endeavors that we would like to appreciate as well. So now, for everybody who's interested, I hope more than one person, we shall make our way to the FMS building to finally get some food, some refreshments, some drinks, because I know I'm not the only one starving here. Can we get a round of applause for that? And then as well, we have a nice backdrop prepared by members of our class to take your pictures with friends, families. Yeah. So thanks to all the viewers online, to everybody who stayed back. I wish you all a wonderful rest of the day. God bless you. We can make our way out.